speaker today. We're so excited. We're Heidi and Joseph to discuss the most important thing you guys are going to do is writing offers, and that's what you're doing. But before, we have to thank again our incredible Troy and Michael for assisting us with everything. Guys,
It's not gonna be an issue for us.
no, guys, again, I keep saying it over and over again. If you haven't sat down with Troy, if you're new or you haven't been here, sit down with Troy and Michael, understand exactly what they do, how they can help you guys. It's really a slam dunk in your deals. I can't tell you how many times these two have helped us with everything, our transactions. We've had many situations recently with loans and things where Michael's found where something sounded good, but it was horseshit and wasn't really true and couldn't go through. You don't want to get into these transactions and find out that there's issues at the end and down the line. So welcome, Troy. Thank you again for everything. So welcome and
the donuts.
keeping everybody nice and healthy.
Wow, gotta get y'all jacked up and ready to learn. Keep your attention span.
Yeah. Welcome.
Only thing I'm gonna say real quick is that everybody wants to grow their business. We're here to be an asset for your business. We're here to be a resource for your business. I can't tell you how to grow your business, but what I can do is help you grow your business. How is gonna be up to you. You have to come to me and say, look, this is what I wanna achieve, this is what I wanna accomplish within my business goals for this year. How can we integrate Sunbelt Title into those goals? So that's a 15, 20, 30-minute call, sit-down meeting, Zoom call, however you want to do it is entirely up to you. But that is what we're here for. We are here to be a resource within Coldwell Banker and Sunbelt Title. I want to keep it short and sweet because we've got, Michael's going to say a little something, and I just want to make sure that you know you'll have my cards are all over the office. Reach out when you're ready or when you need them. Or when you need something.
Perfect. Hey, you're losing your seat, Michael.
It's okay.
We love you, but not enough to keep a seat. Stacy, welcome.
Come,
Welcome,
Stacy, come sit. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to keep it even briefer, which is odd for me. Part of getting, this class is about getting your offer accepted. An important part of that is the financing, if it's going to be a financing deal, and getting them pre-approved up front and making sure that we can keep to certain timelines, whether you're doing a 21, a 15, a 10-day loan approval, a 7-day loan approval, if they're really on point and you have everything, you get them all approved up front. It really just comes down to getting that appraisal ordered on a rush and getting it back immediately. I know right up front if they're going to be approved or not. The credit approvals don't take long. You submit it, and within 72 hours, it comes back out of underwriting approved, as long as I did what I was supposed to do up front. So use us as an asset, use us as a resource. We will make it easier for you to keep everything in-house. Again, there's so many times when a buyer will confide in me and say something, even before you're going under contract, when you're still looking for houses, and they'll say, hey, Mike, can you send that pre-approval over to, Steve? I'm like, Steve, I go, are you working with Joe? They're like, oh, well, Steve's from KW. I'm like, let me call you back. Call Joe, let him know. They're like, hey, they're not loyal, they're doing something, give them a call, see what you can do. So try to keep them in the ecosystem. We're here to protect you guys also. Just let me know what you need. And, I also try to keep you from chasing your tail. Heidi gave me someone to speak to yesterday, and just kind of just a conversation, 580 credit score, 1 year self-employed, had some baggage. So it's, don't chase your tail. I guess put him in a rental or whatever he wanted to do.
HPA.
Michael,
HPA.
do you suggest if you guys have a client that's looking for, it's going to be getting a loan, and you bring up our lender, you bring up Michael, and you want to get them in touch, have Michael contact them. Get there, tell them they'll have our lender contact you, because when you say, here's our lender's information, they sometimes reach out, sometimes they don't, and it doesn't work out well. So
right.
make sure
They'll thank you.
initiate.
That's really important. Put us on a joint text or a joint email with all of our information, their cell phone, my cell phone. I'll usually send out a benign text at first, be like, hey, Trudy, this is Mike, Ryan gave you a number. When's a good time today to speak? A nice benign text where I'm not calling them right then and there. They will respond. And then I'll set up a conversation and have the conversation with them. Second opinions, all about getting second opinions. Make sure two things can happen. either A, I'm gonna tell you, wow, they're really getting a good deal, they did everything they were supposed to, keep going down that road. Or B, I might be able to give them better terms and conditions. So the buyer works out either way, works out in their favor. So just use me as a resource, I'll always answer the call, and that's all I gotta say about that.
One thing I just want to add real quick, mine and Michael's jobs don't end at 5 o'clock. We're always available nights, weekends, holidays, so give us a call, text, email, we'll always be there to answer your calls.
And meet with them, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't yet, sit down and meet with them, because there's a lot of stuff that Michael and Troy can do for you guys and help you with your listings and some of the marketing. We've had some incredible open houses, thank you.
Yes.
Recently, that you guys have helped stage and helped feed people and really make it a nice event, so. It's what we need. We're going to be seeing more open houses, we're going to be seeing more broker opens as we move forward now, as the market's changing, things aren't selling overnight. You're gonna have to be a little more creative, and we're gonna have to go back to work, so we'll start seeing some of these fly-by-nights, we believe, disappear as we did in the last market, when in 2007, when things turned, all these, exits in United and all those that just throw stuff out, these 1% guys, they're gonna have to go out of business. They're just not gonna have, be able to sustain.
100% agree with that. Same thing on the lending side. This morning something came out, news on Wells Fargo. They may be trimming down and maybe stopping their correspondent lending operations. So there is going to be more of a flood of deals coming to the non-bank lenders like us. Even my alma mater, unfortunately, Loan Depot is running into some significant financial issues. Much of it might be because they have to disclose because they're publicly traded, but some of the stuff coming out on them, it doesn't look good. So when you have those buyers that are coming from up north, the Chases, the Wells, the Cities, the Bank of Americas, they're trimming down their mortgage operations substantially. So don't think that they're gonna get the service. Don't think that you're gonna get a phone call after 5 o'clock or on the weekend, or put an offer in at night and the loan officer needs to talk to the listing agent to make sure, hey, they're solid, I have this, I have that. They're not gonna do that, especially now. They just don't have the manpower, so.
But what they always do is they promise the client the best rates. And they give them some rates that are like unheard of.
Right.
And as soon as they engage in the loan, it's not gonna happen. You can be lucky if they even close the loan at the end of the day.
And you just have to, the best rate can be really expensive sometimes.
Yeah.
Just put it that way. Other things that can add up that like, wow, that really wasn't the best thing for me. So, and you have to realize the difference between 5 1/4 and 5 3/8 might be $42 a month. It's $42 a month. However, it's also peace of mind knowing that it's getting done. It's getting done properly. It's getting done on time. So I usually just need one phone call to let with the buyer. They'll usually feel comfortable with me. Hopefully, they're if they're from the Northeast, I immediately connect with them. I always make the joke, I don't speak Spanish, but I speak Long Island Jew. It translates to some Philadelphia dialects and some Jersey dialects. But I usually have a pretty good relationship, and they'll stick with us. So.
Thank you guys, thank you both. Part of what I love about the office is that it's not just us reaching at you. While we do a lot of that, it's our agents working together and the support that our agents give our other agents, and you guys are as well, they're recruiting this well. When we bring in agents, we're growing our market share, we're growing the power of our brokerage and helping us. We are a powerhouse in the industry here. Everybody, I heard people like, hey, call my this and that. We are a powerhouse. We're one of the biggest boys or girls in the game, and we're known around the country. And part of it is all of it is because of our agents and how well we work together, which is not common in every office, even in Coldwell Banker. Some of our very close neighboring offices don't have the same feel that we do, and how we get together and how you guys work and help each other. So I love that, and that's why I appreciate Joseph coming in today, Heidi being here, and even worse, and everybody, you guys that have sold a lot, coming in and working and helping you guys get better at what you do. We're all competition. We all work together to help each other. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Joseph, for coming in. Joseph's going to go over something that I think is slam dunk, and well, you may play lats or whatever. Joseph's pretty sharp and knows how to get the job done. He's been doing an incredible job since coming in with us, even though Mike set you over here, we're excited, so, we love it, so thank you, Joseph, welcome, I'm gonna make some more of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You're welcome.
Thanks guys, and this is my first class ever that I've ever given to anyone, I think about anything. So I'm pretty excited, just a little bit nervous. Alright, so
No heckling.
We'll ask you lots of questions.
lots of questions and lots of heckling is appreciated. Okay, so I just asked, there's 1.496, whatever, let's call it 1.5 people in Palm Beach County. And I looked up how many licensed realtors there are, and then it's like 196. Let's just call it 200. Okay, so 1.5 million residents, 200,000 realtors in Palm Beach County. So what's that math? Is that for every person? It's what is that?
18%?
7.6. For every 7.6 people, there's a realtor. Is that math right? Can someone?
Let's see.
I think that's right. 7.5 for every 7.5 people, there's one realtor, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
May or may not be practicing, right?
Right. Well, may or not be practicing, but still they're a realtor and what have you. So, so you have a client who trusted you, and out of 7.5 people that are out there, there's a licensed realtor, and they chose you to represent them. That means that they're trusting you with their money, their future, where they're going to live. It's kind of a big deal because there's so many people, and the fact that they chose you, that's huge. So you sold yourself, right? Because out of all the realtors they know, they chose you, so you sold yourself, and then you showed them, took the time to find out what they want, find them a home that they want to put an offer in. So you sold yourself, then you sold the home. Now you need to sell the offer, and that's what we're talking about. How to get your offer accepted. So I want to start with a story before we get into it. So there's a house, two buyers go to see this house. Let's call it the Morgan family. The Morgan family has 4 kids. They go, they see this house, they meet the seller, and they tell the sellers, really buyers and sellers shouldn't be communicating, but in this case they happen to cross paths. So the Morgan family just tells the seller how much they love the house. They've been saving their whole lives for this house. It reminds them of their grandmother's house. It even smells like it. The kids just have an instant connection with the bedrooms and this and that. The whole it's the biggest sob story you can ever imagine. Okay, and the seller, they really wanted to sell the house to a family, and so man, just tugging on the heartstrings. And then there's another buyer. Nobody knows who these people are. They put in an offer that's $5,000 more than the Morgan family. There's zero connection. Who wants the house more?
The first one.
First one?
The Morgan.
The Morgan family?
Yeah, the Morgan. No. Want them offered more money
Why?
because they're willing to pay more for it.
Right. So money talks. Money talks. Now here's something else. The Morgan family, that was all a scam. Those weren't even their kids. It was they're scammers. They're like gypsies. Everything they said was not true. And in fact, the buyers that put in this other offer that's higher, they're the ones with the family. So I tell that story to just bring out the point that money talks. And so, okay, so money talks, right? So the person that has the highest offer should get the house, right? I'll tell you another story. So I have a listing, and I get 2 offers. One is for $10,000 less, and the other one's for $10,000 more. The one that's for $10,000 less is with William out of this office. And straight up guy, just straight shooter. And I know him. The other guy starts jerking me around. Miami agent, jerking me around. He's driving me crazy. So what I tell my seller, I say, hey look, this guy, one guy's from my office. I know him, he's got a good reputation. This other guy, he's coming out of an office out of Miami. I've never heard of him or his company. Whatever you decide, it's up to you, but here are the 2 offers. Presented him, he said, you know what, I don't want problems, just do the guy that you trust and that you know for $10,000 less. Boom, offer is accepted. So money talks, but it's not always everything. That's the point of those 2 stories. So let's get into it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. So I came up with this little outline, and I broke it down into 3 different categories. So your buyer sees a house, they want to put in an offer. Where do you go from here? How do you get this offer accepted? Research, strategy, execution. So the first thing, since you saw the house, and then since you have had a day or two for the buyers to think about it, or however, maybe 6 hours, you want to make sure the property is still available. So a call to the agent, hey, is it still even available? Yes? Great. Because otherwise you're going to do all this work for nothing. Do they have any offers on the table? That's crucial to know, because are you the only offer? If they say, yes, I've got 5 offers on the table, and then you can kind of try to get them to talk a little bit more. Whenever you talk to the listing agent, you want to get them talking. And the best thing that I like to do to get them to open up and talk is genuinely, well, get them to like you, but give them a little compliment. Maybe they priced it really well. Tell them. You looked up the agent, you did a quick search, you see that they do a ton of business. Hey, I see you do a lot of business in the neighborhood. Maybe they're a new agent and they did a terrible job with everything, but the house looks really nice. Hey, nice listing, the house showed really well. And so when you give someone a genuine compliment, not a fake compliment, but a genuine compliment, then they're more likely to open up, and it just helps the conversation from the very beginning. So that's a little tip there. And then, next thing, property. How is it listed? Has it been on the market for a year? It's been on the market for a year, and then you call them and they say, yeah, I've got 5 offers. Really? Why has it been on for a year? You look up the property history, it's fallen out of contract 5 times. Hey, I noticed it fell out of contract 5 times, what's going on? And then they tell you, we can't get insurance because the roof is bad. It's got no life left, so it's got to be a cash deal. And they just don't bother to update the MLS. You have a finance offer, boom, you know right then that it makes no sense to go any further, because 5 other people tried, you can't get insurance. If you can't get insurance, what can you not get? Can't get a loan. So it's dead right there. And that's why I put roof, because you really should check in the beginning before you even show the house if the roof has any life. But sometimes you show them all properties and things happen. So, and that's another one. I if it's not listed, I always like to ask if it's a finance offer. Hey, what about the roof? That's a big one that gets overlooked. And then the other thing that I do is I look up the realtor. It's very important. So who am I dealing with? Did this guy or girl just get licensed yesterday? Or have they been around the block for a little bit? How long have they been licensed? How many deals did they do? And then the other day, I've got a deal going with Dana, and she's not with us anymore. She's not dead, she's just another company.
Dead to us.
Yeah. So anyway, so we looked up this agent, and we looked up the deals that he's closed, and then we see what is the list price and then what is the close price. And what we noticed by looking up several of his properties is that he's listing his properties lower and they're selling for higher. So perfect. That's good information to know. And then when we go to our buyers and we say, hey, we looked up comps, we think that it'll appraise for a little bit higher, it's worth a little bit more. In addition, we looked at this realtor and they always list their property, or most of the time they list their properties lower and they sell for higher. So they're trying to get a lot of attention on this. And then when I talked to him, he said, hey, by the way, we have 5 offers. It's only been listed for a week. I happen to believe him based on all the research that I've done. My suggestion is we go in at this price. And then I think we went in at like 25 or 30 above asking price, and we ended up getting it. So that was really important, to give the buyer so that they have that information. So it's not just me telling them and they're putting all their faith just in me. I'm like not telling them what to do, but I'm leading them in the right direction and letting them make their own decisions on the price of the house. And then when I talk to the agent, I just want to know, what do you want? What's important to you? What are you looking for? what do they want to do? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you if you listen and you ask, they will tell you exactly what they're looking, a lot of times, what they're looking for. And then if they don't, sometimes they're a little shy and they don't want to tell you just exactly. And then you say, okay, well, I was thinking this, X, Y, Z. Boom, 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 boom. Do you have a problem with any of that? What are your thoughts? Do you want me to change any of it? You know, because here's the thing, a lot of times people, they want to take their offer and just shove it down the throat of the agent, of the listing agent. And that's the wrong approach. It's like, hey, you and the other agent should be having this team mentality that we are walking together towards the closing and we're walking side by side, not facing each other, gonna fight each other. Like, no, that's the wrong mentality, the wrong approach. And to have that, like, hey, this is what we can do, is important. And then vendors, to know, talk to, let's say you want to put in a 3-day inspection, and we're going to talk about the terms, but let's say that you want to make the terms really tight. It's important to know how quickly can your inspection company generally get out. And in a specific case, give them a call. If I want to do a 3-day inspection, let's just say, can my inspection company get out? Can they give a same-day inspection report back to me? How long does my buyer need to make a decision? How quickly can we do it if it's competitive? The lender, maybe we want to do a short loan commitment. How quickly, if I rush the appraisal, 500, let's just call it 500 for the appraisal, 400 for a rush. If my buyer's okay with it, how quickly can he get that done? And that's a conversation I have with him, kind of almost on a case-by-case basis. So to have that open communication with your vendors, and then you can talk to them. Hey, I talked to my lender, and we can do this. I just got off the phone with them, and then that sounds really good. And then we can close in this amount of time. We get a loan commitment for this. We get the appraisal back in this, and just the fact that you know what you're talking about, it sounds really good to a listing agent.
Question.
Answer. Go ahead.
How often are you seeing now, or if any, and any agents in here that are writing a lot of deals, seeing the escalation clause still coming into effect? And explain it for some of the new agents that might not know what it is.
So an escalation clause is stating that your offer will rise to beat any offer up to a certain point by a certain amount. So if it's, hey, we're putting an offer at 450, but we will go up to 500, and we'll beat any offer by $5,000 in increments by $5,000. So if someone puts in an offer at 475, we're going to come in at 480, and they have to present, I believe it's the first page of that offer to you.
If you're, yeah, they have to at least be able to show that proof of the existing offer.
I've never done one of those, so what page is that on? Where you write that?
There's
We'll go over
this-
them later.
there's an
We're
addendum.
learning more about theory here, and we're not seeing a lot of them now. They're gonna go start.
Yeah, I
going
think
away.
that's what I was.
As the
my main
market
concern
turns,
was
it's
seeing
gonna be
how many
somewhat of a
agents are still
non-issue.
actually using it.
But there is a separate
It's on
addendum
one.
for it.
Oh, an addendum.
3 weeks.
Let's say it's a cash deal, and then that's where, hey, in Palm Beach County, seller chooses title. How quickly can they close it? Because maybe they can close in 10 days, and we'll write a offer for a 10-day close, because that's really important to the seller. They want to close as soon as possible. Maybe if it's in Broward County, then buyer generally chooses, and then you get to call your own title company and call Troy and ask them, hey, how quickly?
Unless you have an HOA issue.
That's the next one, HOA. If it's a condo, generally they take up to 30 days to approve the buyer. So if you're writing a 2-week cash offer, but it's a condo, you're gonna look dumb because the person who's looking at this knows, hey, it's gonna take 30 days. That's generally the thing. And that's the thing, you're selling the offer, but you're also selling yourself to the other agent, because you wanna present yourself and the offer that, hey, there's not gonna be any problems. Because what's the last thing that horse wants when he lists a property? He doesn't want problems, right?
That's good.
You just want to close and it be done. And that's something that we try to communicate to that through this whole thing, this whole entire time. I'm presenting a case to the listing agent that you are not going to have problems. This is going to be a simple close because the buyer has the ability and the desire to close, and I have the ability to bring it to the closing table.
Couple
Okay.
things I'll add too, for 10-day closings typically aren't happening. One was the HOA, for the buyer approval, they can legally take 30 days to close.
Right.
But you also have an estoppel letter, unless it's expedited, you're looking at least 3 business days. And then you have municipalities, so that they don't wanna waive the lien and permit search, that's gonna take anywhere from 5 to 10 business days. Because you can't expedite or rush a municipality for a lien search.
So the total time would be what? How quickly
I
would you
always
get it
tell
done?
people anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, you can always put on the contract on or before, and then that way everybody can agree to an earlier closing via email. If it's a contract date, it has to be an addendum drawn up with everybody to shorten the closing date. I'd always like to give us 30 days just to be on the safe side, but 18 to 21 days we can make happen very simply, especially if there's no HOA involved.
Perfect. That's why it's important to talk to the title company, because there's a lot of those details that are important that you wanna know. Cause you can just get kinda caught up, or I can get caught up and just, yeah, you know what, 10 days, no problem, well, just 10 days, and I just put it on a contract and boom, send it out, and then Troy yells at me.
Or
So-
you can do like 15 days, but set the expectation that if we don't get the lien search back, it might have to be extended by 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So,
But let me say that the way that you're presenting this is you're buying a house. He represents us, that's
Yes.
our listing. What you're saying is you're selling. I do call the title company
Right.
and ask those questions. If they're in a rush or whatever, what's your time frame? Is 30 days okay, or can you do it in 20 so that I can present a better offer?
Right.
So it's finding out who's gonna be the title company, because he is with us.
Correct. In Palm Beach County, yeah. In Palm Beach County, yes. You need to find out who it is, and then you're going to put it on the contract, on the first page. So that's another thing. Hey, I'm sending in an offer. Send me over your title company's info, and then you put it in, and then at that point you can call them. I do some stuff in Broward, so sometimes they're my people.
Broward and Dade County.
Quick question.
Yes.
How often do homeowners do a home inspection and have that included? Is that allowed?
The sellers.
Yes.
A lot of times they'll be under contract previously, and then the buyer will hand over the inspection. Hey, I'm walking away, but here's the inspection, or they'll ask for stuff and say, by the way, here's the inspection. So sometimes when that happens, then the seller will have it, or they'll do an inspection prior to listing. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't, and then they'll hand it over.
It's rare,
This guy.
and it still behooves you as the buyer's agent to encourage your buyer to get independent
Correct.
Even if they have
inspection, even if there is one, because every inspector is not the same. And just because Joe found something that, is on the inspection report, Frank might find 5 other things that Joe didn't find. So it's always in your client's best interest to do their own inspection report, even if an inspection report is provided to them.
Thank you.
That's a great point. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
Okay, strategy. So now you've done your research. You've got info on the house, how it's listed, the realtor, what they're looking for, what they want, and then you put together. They may tell you what they want, and it's been listed for 6 months. They don't have any offers on the table. Maybe you don't give them everything that they want. So then you can come up, depending on the situation, with your strategy, how you're going to present this offer. So the terms, price, and we talked about that. Price shows desire. Escrow shows how serious you are to keeping the terms of the contract from start to finish. Closing date shows what? When you want to close. That was a joke. Work on it. All right.
And you stumped us all. It bombed the first time, it still bombed. Sorry, Joe.
Payday, but
Okay, so inspection period. The other thing is maybe to listing agents, if you're getting a loan, rush the appraisal, and if you can get a loan commitment in 10 days, then put 0 days on the loan commitment and do a 10-day inspection. That might be one strategy. Another strategy may say, hey, you know what, this realtor has no idea what he's doing, and he's got no offers on the property. It's a long closing. I'm just gonna leave it blank, and I'll give myself 30 days for the loan commitment, and just take our time. And then that gives a little added protection to the buyer. And then do a short inspection period. Do a 3-day inspection period, and then you still have the loan commitment. And then the addendums, we talked about the escalation clause. That's going away, right? That was a couple months ago when you're going against 20 offers. Then it was really useful because you could throw in an escalation clause and beat out, when things are going 70 over asking, then that's helpful because you can put an escalation clause saying I'm going to go 100 over ask, but by $10,000 increments, so that way you're not making this giant jump, just going straight up 100 over.
We're seeing them a lot in like high market or high,
Price point.
not high price points, high valued area like Addison Meisner School in Boca Raton, or certain maybe Lake Ida or Lake Eden, like really high valued or
Desirable.
Desired, that's the word I was looking for. That are real, like stuff's not staying on the market for more than a day or two. It is going down because people can only go up so much and the market's correcting itself. But school zones, I've found a lot of escalation clauses are coming in with deals. If they're A-rated schools for public schools and families want to be in there, they're still paying top dollar or over top dollar.
Right. Thank you. That's good info. And then also post occupancy. I was at a closing table. We had a ton of offers, and the guy's texting me at the closing table when I'm going over each offer with the seller, or at the table, at their kitchen table. And he goes, hey, by the way, we'll give 60-day post occupancy. They can take their time to leave. Whoa, that changes things. That's huge. So that's also something. Let them stay in the property. The seller stay in the property. If the buyer is willing to do that, and it will work out for the buyer.
So if you're doing post occupancy, we hate post occupancy. We hate
It's very, very
pre-occupancy.
dangerous.
Yeah, it's very, very dangerous. As soon as the property closes, what happens?
No urgency.
The liability is on the buyer.
Buyer.
It immediately becomes a landlord-tenant situation in the eyes of the state. And anything that happens, if they supposed to stay 1 day, and they decide not to leave after that 1 day, the buyer, who is now the owner, would have to evict them, and there's a million things that can go wrong with liability.
I had to call the
Issues.
police on my seller to leave the property. So I had to literally evict them because the buyers gave them a couple days post occupancy and they had no intention to move out. So I'm literally spent a whole weekend, had to police there for 2 days, hired my own moving company to get their furniture out. I tell you, never do it if you don't have to.
And who is
It's the worst
responsible
thing
for
ever.
writing up the terms of that post occupancy?
Yeah.
The owner.
Huh?
The agent.
Well, they have to agree
The
on it.
owner, not the
The
agent.
owner,
We're
no,
not
we have
involved in
nothing
the
to
terms
do
of that
there.
because we're not
No.
being paid for it.
We're not part of the
Right,
transaction.
we're
Yeah.
not.
That's a whole separate transaction, so you have to be very, very careful with the post occupancy. I mean, I don't want to interrupt, but that's a big, big issue. Although, having said that, sometimes it could make a deal, so it is done. Just got to be very, very careful. It's not simply just you stay an extra 3 days and everybody's happy.
Is it better to do a lease back?
Well, either way, it is.
It's the same thing.
Same thing?
I don't think I've ever written, I hate post occupancy, I agree with you, but it's something just to be aware of, that it's kind of like the Hail Mary. If you have to make a deal work, I'd rather do a 3-day post occupancy than just totally lose the deal if I had to. But that's a great point that you want to try to avoid. It's not a go-to thing. Appraisal gap. This is a go-to thing in a competitive situation. So saying, hey, my buyers will pay X amount of dollars over the appraisal, not to exceed the purchase price. That's huge. Or they'll waive the appraisal completely and they'll pay the difference. If the buyer's willing to do that, you think that, you looked at the comps and you think it's gonna come in at X amount. Or you may do like the 10-day inspection period and rush the appraisal and just say, hey, no 10-day loan commitment and we waive the appraisal. And that looks really good too. Because then after 10 days, it's the same as same as cash.
I'm gonna jump in again. Be real careful when you waive appraisal. It's one thing if you do it, the buyer will make up any appraisal shortage up to a certain point, which I think will still be around for a little bit because even though we're not seeing all the multiple offers, we are seeing inflated prices still. We're not seeing a big drop in prices. We're seeing prices reduced from listing prices, but the prices are still very high and are still above appraised value. So we will be seeing appraisal shortages. But be careful if you simply waive an appraisal. It can come in $100,000 less, you never know, and the buyer can be responsible. So in that event, I always like to see you guys cap it at some point. We'll make up any appraisal shortage up to $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. At least that way, you know the buyer and seller go in knowing what their total liability is, as opposed to waiving an appraisal where it's unlimited.
That's the
And
most
if you're
extreme.
gonna-
Waiving the appraisal is like the extreme end of the thing.
And if you're gonna do it, make sure you talk to the lender to understand the situation that the buyer is in, to see, they may not be in a situation where they can waive it. The finances may not work for them. So that's super important. If you're gonna do it, make sure you talk to their lender.
Or if they waive it and the buyer's agent doesn't realize it, or if they do realize it, and they can say, well, they waived the appraisal, but their financing isn't gonna go through, so that was their scapegoat to get out of the deal, God forbid. So have everything written in the additional terms as far as the appraisal. If it's under, we will pay up to such and such amount.
Right, and I would only do that if you are confident you can get the appraisal back within your inspection period.
Correct.
Because then you can cancel for any reason within your inspection period. But if it's gonna come back after the inspection period is over, then yes, you definitely need to cap it.
And the way appraisals are right now, they're still running very slow,
Yes,
so.
yes.
What's the average turnaround from the time you call?
It's
It
different with
depends,
each
yeah.
lender and each client, so it's a conversation you need to have with the lender.
Maybe as little
I
as
mean,
3 days,
some of them, it's
as long as
been,
10.
I've seen even longer than 10 days.
Me too, I've seen 20, and the lender will say, you know, they said 14 days and it's 20 days and you're still waiting for that. I did one of those that we capped the
Appraisal shortage?
the appraisal terms, and in my opinion, you need to educate your buyer as to what exactly it means, because sometimes people think that they understand, but they don't. So always explain and say, repeat it to me, so that you know that they understood, because sometimes they think that they understand, but they don't.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to put a rush too on the appraisal, because if you don't put a rush on it, sometimes it'll take 20 to, who knows how long they take their time for an extra $400. And you can put it in that, hey, we're gonna order it a rush. Let them know, that also looks good. So for an extra $400, you have it back in, 3 or 4 days depending, instead of who knows how long. It could be 20 days. It could be at the bottom of the list. But generally, from my experience, when there's a rush put on it, they're really good about putting it at the top of the list and getting it out. And it's just an extra $400. So I think that's a huge plus. Okay, lastly, execution. So in my opinion, when you present the offer, it's very important that you look like a professional. You are a professional, so look like it, especially in how you send everything. So when you're sending something and you forget to fill something out in the contract, you look really dumb. So that's why I always double, triple check, because I hate looking like I don't know what I'm doing when I do. It's just because I'm moving too fast. So double, triple check that, and then
Or have Steve or someone else look at it.
yeah, oh yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, is that any.loop? I can check.
You
it
use
out.
Lindsay, not Steve.
Exactly. I get it, I send it there. Yeah, but anything you send over to .loop, I can review from my phone.
The actual layout of the email, when I put it together, I'm gonna put, hey, at the first the subject line, offer on 123 Main Street. So they make it really easy, because he's got 10 listings and he's getting offers in all at the same time, and then the offer just gets lost. And the subject line, offer on 123 Main Street, and then when you're putting the email together, just make it really simple for him. Hey, here are the terms. Price is this, escrow is this, inspection period is this, loan commitment, if any, is this, closing date is this, and anything else. And then everything that you tell them, when you get on the phone and you send them an email, hey, did you get the email? I just sent an offer on 123 Main Street. Did you get it? They don't answer, leave a voicemail, shoot them a text. And make sure that they confirm receipt of that email. When I actually send the offer, there are different ways. This is just my way. Okay, I put pre-approval letter on top, page 1, or proof of funds, page 1, and then boom, contract. And if there's an escrow letter, I'll put that at the top too. Pre-approval or proof of funds, escrow letter with the offer, boom, contract, and then after that, I'm putting addendums and riders, paint rider, condo rider, 55 plus, whatever, at the bottom of that, and it's all in one PDF. That's very user friendly for the agent, and then anything else that is separate. So if they're an experienced agent, when I talk to them, I'll say, hey, do you want me to send you the first page of the DU showing that the lender put it through underwriting? I'll be glad to do that. Yes, no, and most of them say, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So then boom, in a separate attachment, the DU. And then I also check to see what attachments they've put on, because they may have special instructions for you to submit an offer that they put together, or an addendum that's already signed, paint addendum that's already signed by the seller, or the seller's disclosure, or whatever. And then so you can include that in the offer, and it just looks. How do you want to say something?
Yeah, when you're writing the offer, when you're in the MLS, look and see if there's a section up at the top in the header in documents. Because like Joe said, they may already have the condo rider, the seller's disclosure, and some of the other forms, so you don't have to do duplicate work.
Right.
There are forms that the listing agent is supposed to fill out, like the condo rider and the lead paint, but 9 times out of 10, the listing agents don't do it, so we end up doing it. But in reality, your client's not supposed to sign it until the buyer signs it. So just save yourself some work and look and see what's already on the listing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so communication. Make sure that they confirm that they have the offer, because it's the worst when they send in an offer and then they don't call. Like they confirm receipt. Do they have it? Do they have it? Great. So that's very important. And then through on the phone, I let them know, and I also let them know via email that, hey, whatever you need, I'm right there. You need me to change something, I'm there. You just have anything, call me, text me, I always answer. This is my phone is my, like, I'm always with it. So it sucks when...
You want to let them know you're easy to work with. So
right.
Communicate that. I look forward to an easy transaction or something
right.
like that. Or, like he said, always, it's such a pet peeve of people that if you submit an offer and you don't pick up the phone and call and let the agent know, or
right.
let them know before you submit the offer and then ask them how they want to be notified. Do you want me to send you a text once it's in your inbox? That can be part of the conversation when you're having in advance with the agent, because there's nothing worse than you not knowing you have a listing and you have an offer in there and you don't see it for 48 hours because you've been with clients and you haven't
right.
caught up on email.
Right.
And the offer's expired now.
Or it goes into junk.
That's huge.
Oh, boy.
That is absolutely very, very important. The next thing is relationship. Try not to be. We don't have any Karens in them, do we? Try not to be a Karen. Don't be a jerk. Be nice. Just be nice. Be professional. It goes. What are you laughing at? It goes a long way just to make them like you. I don't know.
Just laugh a lot like Horst does.
If you have a good joke, give them a joke or something. I don't know.
I'm
However you do that.
always nice.
Sometimes it'll come down to the agent, just because the listing agent will just happen to just like the buyer's agent over another, and that's the difference between a closed deal and not.
It is true.
Oh my god, if two offers are identical and they know an offer, or they're almost
If they're
identical,
identical.
or even
Or
if
they're
they're
close.
almost identical, you know, it can
So
come
that is
down
a
to
proper
relationship.
document.
Right.
Yeah, you want an easy transaction.
Absolutely.
Right. And then let them know, hey, this buyer is using my preferred lender and my preferred title inspection company. They listen to me. It's going to be an easy deal. I've closed a ton of deals with this lender, and we're not going to have any problems. It's the worst when you have a buyer that's using some big bank somewhere, and if they're using your people, let them know that, because that's important. It shows that the buyer listens to you and that you're in control of the deal. Flexible. Let them know that you're flexible if you are. Hey, if there's anything you want me to change, just call me and I'll do my best to accommodate you. Whatever you need. So it shows that you're not like a hardliner. No one wants to work with someone who's just a real hardline type of person. That you're easy to work with. We talked about that. And then I like to tell them that, hey, I'm not going to retrade the deal. So during the inspection period, I'm not going to come back and say, hey, we need a price reduction of $50,000 because of some made up junk. So I like to tell the listing agent, I say, hey, look, I told my buyers that we're not going to retrade the deal and we're not going to be petty over petty stuff that shows up on the inspection period. We're only concerned about major stuff. I didn't say that we would agree to anything. I said, I told the buyers this. Because your buyer may come out of left field and surprise you after the inspection period, and they may want to retrade the deal.
And they may want GFI outlets fixed.
And they may want GFI outlets fixed. And if you promise that, hey, we're not going to do X, Y, Z, and then you have to go back to them, then you look really stupid later. So I like to say, hey, look, I told them we're not going to do this. And I tried, and I do tell my buyers that, because it's the worst when they try to hit you up for GFI outlets. Drive me crazy.
So what if it's a big thing?
Then it's a big thing, and you go to them, and you try to work it out. What? Yeah. What?
Wait, sorry.
Are you coming in?
May I?
You may.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a lot of heavy hitter agents in the room. So what questions do you guys have that while we're
Come on, Heidi.
Heidi.
How specific
Don't
do
quiet
listing
now.
agents, when you ask what a listing agent, what their seller wants, how specific are they? Are they looking for terms, or are they looking like, look, we want this number?
sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, they want to close on this date, and that's another thing I forgot to say. But I like to just ask them, hey, when does the seller want to close? Because that's a little thing that a lot of times the buyers can easily accommodate. That means a lot to a seller, because in their mind they know that they would prefer to sell on this date. So that's something I always ask that is easy for a buyer to accommodate, that helps the offer look good.
Right, because a lot of times if you ask a blanket question, what's important to the seller, what's the first thing that everyone's going to say?
Price they want?
It's going to be price. We all know price is important. So it's on you to try and dig down a little bit deeper and see what else. Like you said, closing date, things like that. So just, try and start asking questions to try tighten up your deal. And then the other thing is when you submit your offer, you can say, hey, we do have some flexibility. If let's say the agent doesn't get back to you or doesn't give you information, hey, we do have some flexibility on some of our terms, convey that so that they know that, to Joe's point, you're easy, you're trying to be easy to work with.
If something is priced way over what a CMA would support, and the people, say they want to sell, if someone wanted to make an offer on a property like that, but pretty far below what they're asking, would you also provide a CMA to show, hey, this is what we're going to offer, and this is what this is supporting? You're shaking your head no, something you know.
I don't.
I wouldn't. What I would actually do, and I've done this before, is, hey, you know, we really want to submit an offer. I'm really having trouble justifying the price to my clients. Can you send me over the comps that you used?
That's
Oh,
much
did you
better.
arrive to
Yeah,
the-
that's
to the
much
price?
better.
Right. And remember, our property is worth only what somebody is willing to pay for it. Cause for you, it might be a lot of money, but there might be another buyer that is willing to pay that amount of money. So what she's saying is, you know, it's kind of a way of telling them it's overpriced, but you know, if you have better numbers than the ones that I was able to come up with,
Yeah.
please show them to me so I can justify your figure.
That's much nicer because the way I was going about it is like more of an attack
Mhm.
versus you're just like,
And I asked him
And
too.
words matter.
Yeah.
Is the price flexible? Because they may say, hey, you know what? I know it's overpriced, but no, the seller wants this number, and they're not taking $1 less. And then you kind of know what you're dealing with.
But you don't wanna waste your time.
Right.
I always try and more or less give a figure, cause you don't wanna sit down, do the whole
Be
deal
careful
to
with
find
that.
out that you know that they're not taking
Yeah.
that number.
I tell you, be careful with that. I had it twice, and I mean, last year was all special anyway. There's the rules and
They're
whatever
already out the window.
are not there. You know,
Yeah.
they're coming back now. But to give you an idea, so if you check out the pricing before and you have like an idiot buyer, you know, and he's coming in for half what they're asking,
Right.
and the other agent tells you already, you don't have to write it up, you know, and makes no sense, they never will take it. I had it actually, they asked $590 or something, and my buyer came in at $298, and I was already breathing hard, and I'm like, Michael, really? You know, you really make me do this? He's like, yep, I make you do this. And he's a private lender out of Connecticut, so that's what he knows what he's doing. You know, I send it to the agent, I do the same thing. I call them up, you know, and talk to them already and warn them,
Yeah.
you know, so to
Yeah.
not like being a total idiot. And they're like, you know, I have to present it. Are you crazy? You know, they kicked me out of the room or whatever. And guess what? 2 hours later, I had a contract. Not for two. No, we offered $295. They didn't took that. They took $298. So
And
and
agree with
that
Ernst.
proved me completely wrong with
I
a
agree
with a
with
client.
Ernst, is
You know?
even though their offer may,
Yeah.
and you try to talk them up, even though their offer may be crazy, and they say they're not budging, sometimes when they have that in their face, they have an offer in front of them, it's better than
Yeah.
no offer that they've received and how many days it's been on the market. So they may suddenly be, even though they said they're not willing to negotiate, they may suddenly be willing to negotiate. So don't not
It's
write
a
an
personal
offer
situation, you know. You never know where
if they say
It's
they're not
true.
gonna budge.
Yeah. So I look. It makes you look a little bit on the foolish side if you present something like this, but legally you have to, number one, or the client works with somebody else, you know. And I literally didn't have it only once; I had it twice, you know, and the same thing. So they came in. The one came in like $400,000 under ask or something crazy. And same thing, agent told me that I'm insane, and the seller, we take it,
wow.
we take it.
And
you
the
know?
thing is, if you have a conversation with the agent and say, hey, listen, I know it's a crazy offer, but my client wants me to submit it.
Yeah.
You know, they know that it's not you at that point,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
you know, so you can kind of make light of it with them and go, you know,
And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's a relationship that you have with the other agent too,
Yeah.
like by calling them ahead of time and just saying, hey, because you're really working with them. You know, you're communicating with them. Like, I learned.
One thing you reiterated earlier is working with good agents, agents that have attention to detail, agents that you get into a transaction with that you're not doing both sides of the transaction, agents that have good communication. They're gonna be the agents later on down the road, like he referenced William, he'd rather work with than some other agent you had a total nightmare of a deal with if they didn't do anything, and then they bring you an offer on your next listing, and it's your only offer, you might have to accept
I
it.
even had
But
agents that got banned from the title company.
yeah,
You know, they
so you gotta find agents that are good agents that you wanna work with,
Yeah.
that hold their own weight, that just don't send an offer and then, okay, we'll see you at closing. You know, that's not part of the deal. You gotta work as a team
Just had
to
that.
get to.
And you may have to cross paths with people.
And you're
It's a
going-
small world, and right.
in this industry, you're gonna run across those agents again, and you have 3 offers on the table. The agent didn't pull their weight, it's probably gonna be the number 3. So,
yeah, and I tell you, it makes a big difference, the relationships. I have agents I never would work with them again. Whatever deal they present or whatever, I tell them right from the get-go. You know, they screwed me out of a deal, and you know, it's like one, like was it condo deal for 2 million or something, and he was then it's like a couple, and he was like, oh, let's communicate over the phone, no texting. I say, I prefer this. You know, instead of texting, I'd rather call, then we can straighten everything out. I put an offer in, you know, and I told him, I said, look, you know, I mean, it's a little bit lighter than you asked, but see what you can do. And I bet you everything that they got both sides, you know, I didn't even check on it, but that they had somebody on both sides, and I didn't hear from him. You know, then I get a text like a day later, like a little text like, oh, la, 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 and we took another offer. And then I picked up the phone, I say, look, I say, here's the thing. I don't care if you take another offer, you know, I will sell them something else. And, but the two things you can't do with me, you know, you tell me you give me all the information, you know, we're talking about having a deal together, I put an offer and I tell already my client that we agree on the terms, and then you send me a text, not a phone call, and you want to tell me that you got the best deal for your seller. Because we would have gotten up in price. And you said, oh, I didn't know you want to get up in price. I said, dude, come on. You did this for 20 years, I do it for 30, so whatever, you know. But as it came out, it was actually great. I sold them at $6.6 million. So that was actually nice, you know. But I never would do a deal with them again. You know, I wouldn't go to an open house. When people send me like the property, I always find something to tell them, don't do it. You know? So.
There's an old proverb that says, a good name is to be chosen over silver and gold.
Yeah.
If you need the money so badly that you have to screw people over in this business,
Or
then
another one that is a
it
reputation
comes
takes you a
around.
lifetime to achieve,
Yeah.
and seconds to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I paid commission to people that didn't even know, you know, that I make a deal, and they've been involved like maybe a year ago, you know, whatever, somehow the client ended up with me, and I still pay him 25% referral fee. You know, and they're like, I didn't even know, I said, but that's what it is, you know, you've been involved like a year ago, whatever,
Yeah.
wherever you are, you know.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Good class, Sarah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John.